I have here two Omega watches, and yes, this is not a channel about watches. But what can we do with watches? We can take photographs of them. This is my grandfather's wristwatch. He bought it in 1975 and unfortunately he died in 1979. The Omega Electronic F300. I got that from my aunt as a gift a few years ago and I treasure it. And I'm not wearing it, but I'm treasuring it and it's at home and I'm very happy that I have that watch. My watch is also an Omega watch. I bought this about 10 years ago with my own money and this is the Omega DeVille. Both of the watches, of course, are not made anymore. I love both of them. And I want to take a good picture of them. I tried it several times before and it's always a problem. Of course, you can just take a picture of your watch with your iPhone, or I can take the SL3 and put the 24-290 on that and take a picture. That's not what I mean. I mean like a high resolution, beautiful picture that is sharp through and through. And if I have spots that are out of focus, that's maybe the wristband, but I want to have like from the outer ring here to the date, I want to have everything in focus. The details I am looking for are only possible with macro photography. If you are a returning viewer to my channel, and if you are one and not subscribed yet, please subscribe now. It really helps my channel. You know that I already bought a macro adapter a few weeks ago. I did a video about that. I'm going to link it in the description. And I have some other accessories here I want to talk about. And then we're going to shoot my grandfather's watch. And we're going to shoot my watch. My watch we're going to shoot in two different ways. We're just going to do it like regular with the Leica SL3 in 60 megapixels. And then I want to split it up in 9 sections and make basically a panorama picture and stitch it together to really get a high resolution picture. I have no idea if that works. Maybe you say, oh my God, what's he doing? But you know, it's my channel. I can do whatever I want. It is a video that is not out there. So I thought, I'm gonna try this now. So what kind of accessories did I bring? I have, of course, the SL3. It has 60 megapixels, of course. And if we make a panorama picture, we can get much more megapixels. Unfortunately, we cannot do multi-shot at this point of shooting the video. And so maybe this comes in the future. The SL2 is able to do multi-shot. So you can do higher resolution shots. It's actually the same workflow, it just takes a little bit more patience, but it works. On the camera, I have already mounted the M to L adapter. This allows me to put an M lens on the SL3. We're going to shoot this with the 75 Apo M. This is not the optimal lens for macro photography. There is a 90 macro out there that works with the adapter I'm going to show you right away, but I don't own that. I own the 75. I also have the 90, but I have another accessory I want to talk about, and that does not work with the 90. So we have to do it with the 75. The other accessory I want to talk about is the Elpro 52 set. This I also bought with my own money. And this is basically an attachment that you put on the lens. The macro adapter is between the camera and the lens. The Elpro comes on top. It's basically like a teleconverter, but it's a macro converter. I don't know if this word exists. And then we need one more accessory, because what I want to do now is I want to take several pictures on several focus points of the watch. And we are talking, you know, like millimeter after millimeter. It's basically like a CT of your body. We're just going to take several pictures, and then in the end, the software is going to put them together, and then we have a picture that is through and through sharp. The process we're doing is called focus bracketing. You maybe know it from aperture bracketing, that you have several apertures, and then you put together a high dynamic range picture. That is possible with the SL3. What's not possible is focus bracketing. That's why we need this little accessory that you also saw on my channel in 2 previous videos, but I did not talk about that then. This is a Siuri Macro Focus Rail. We're going to put the camera on there, and then it's basically like a mini dolly where you can do little millimeter steps, and then you can take the pictures. And how it works is you have this handle here and you just turn it, and then it moves very slowly, of course, because that's what you want. You want to have very, very small movement, very small steps, so you can take a lot of pictures to have the focus range to, in the end, put together a very sharp picture. I'm now gonna set up the whole thing. I'm not gonna show you setting it up because setting up stuff is very boring. I'm gonna use the magic of movie making and just make a time jump. I have my setup now finished. Let's go over the items I have here. I have here, of course, the watch. It's mounted on a tripod mount. I have here a newer light, an NL660. It's an older LED light. I have up here, I have another newer light. It's a little bit more powerful. It's a 960. And here I have my Godox light, which is basically for me. And maybe there is a little bit left for the watch, a little bit overall light for the watch as well. Then I have here my SL3. I have it mounted in the small rig cage, so I can set it up in portrait mode on the magic product here, the Siuri Macro slider. Of course, it's a manual lens. The focus is all manual. It's all set on one point. I'm not going to change the focus on the camera. I'm changing focus by moving the camera back and forth. And we're going to do, I don't know, 25, 35, I don't know yet how many pictures. And then in the end, I'm going to go to my computer and we'll stitch them together into one very sharp frame. To monitor everything here, I have set up the SL3 with my Blackmagic 7G video assist, which will help me to see the focus. And I don't already seeing now, I cannot touch the table because it's shaking because we're so close. I have set the camera on an aperture 5.6. If we would go closer now, we would see that the minute pointer is out of focus. The date is not in focus because focus is only like, I don't know, a millimeter, 2 millimeters, a millimeter probably is in focus. And what we're basically doing now, it's like a CT scan. We're gonna make little layers and we're moving the focus in those layers. And then in the end, a software will put it together for us. So to start, we have to go to the physical end. And now we can see that the watch is gonna go out of focus. And I want to have the whole watch out of focus. So I can start and now I'm gonna move the camera through the focus. The camera is now set to interval shooting. I have set it to 300 pictures and 1 picture every second. So I have basically 1 second time after each photo to just move the camera a little bit closer. I'm gonna turn this little handle here, half between each photo. It moves the camera just a little bit towards the watch and the focus will basically shift through the watch. Let's do that. Okay, first watch done. I have a second watch. Actually my watch that I just had with Omega and they cleaned it for me. And yeah, it's looking beautiful. It basically had makeup for this shooting. Now it's set up and I would say we are completely out of focus. And now we'll start. Okay, second watch done. And another time jump and we are in front of the computer and now we have all our beautiful pictures. First, let's look at the Electro 300. I did 3 rundowns. I'm gonna choose now the last one. We have the most pictures here. Unfortunately, Lightroom is not made for focus stacking. So it has no functionality for that. We need to go to another software for that. For that, we need to go to a software called Helicon Focus. And this will help us do that. We can import the original DNGs into Helicon Focus, but it is very, very slow. So I'm gonna first export those pictures out of Lightroom. as TIFF files, and then we're gonna import them to Helicon Focus. Before we export the pictures, just let's quickly look through them so you can see what we actually did. I was talking about an CT scan of the watch, and this is basically what we did. When we just scroll through the photos, we can now see how we go through the focus. Here you can see the wristband is in focus. Now slowly the watch face is in focus, and now you can see on the bottom here the ring is in focus as well. This is basically our now 105 pictures, and I'm now going to export those as TIFF files. Now we are in Helicon Focus, and we just open our folder, and now here we can see all our TIFF files. We just mark them all and we import them. On the right side here we can see all our files, and now we're basically just all mark them and then press render, and it's gonna be a very cool effect that is going to happen just right now. Talking about a CT scan. And now we can see this beautiful, completely through and through sharp picture of my Omega watch. Isn't that unbelievable? Now I just need to save my final image. Okay, so we can clear everything. And we're now going to do absolutely the same with the Omega DeVille. And now it's done. We can see here a little bit the light, maybe, yeah, we need to touch it a little bit in post. This watch was harder to light because the glass is not flat. On the other one, the glass is absolutely flat. Here, the glass is a little bit rounded. And here we can see, of course, that we have different reflections on the outer glass. Now I'm gonna do an experiment. I have never ever tried that out. I have the Elpro 52 set, and we can get like half the way closer almost with the camera with the same lens. And we're gonna lose one or two stops, but who cares? And what I wanna try now is to do like a high resolution picture. Let me show the setup again. We have now here the Leica Elpro 52. We have the 75 Apo. We have the Leica Macro Adapter, and we have the M to L adapter. Of course, you can also use an M camera to do that. You don't need to use the SL. You can also set the M10 or M11 to 1 frame a second for 300 pictures. The only problem you have, you cannot monitor externally the sharpness, which helps me here enormously. And you can also not flip out the screen. You can, of course, use the Leica Photos app and, for example, an iPad, no problem, but the picture is not that sharp. I'm not sure if it's accurate to check focus, but the framing, the composition, for sure, no problem. You can use the Leica Photos app. This now took me a little bit longer than I thought. I just had to like export every of those TIFFs into different folders. And then I had to go through the Helicon Focus stacking. And then now I'm back in Lightroom and we can now put together those pictures. I tried to stack and to like stitch all the pictures in Helicon Focus, but I didn't dive deep into Helicon, so I don't know if this is even possible. But I got this wonderful piece of art, which I think is probably the thing I'm going to print and hang in my room. Let's see, the initial goal was to have a high-resolution panorama picture of my watch. So we have our 9 pictures here, and now let's try to put together a panorama. And it stitches it together not the way I want. This we probably can merge. This works pretty good. Here it is. We can see here we have the problem that the wristband is not stitched together correctly. My problem is that I redid this and it probably changed the light because I moved the watch a little bit, which was not a smart idea. There should be consistent lighting. Maybe I should move the camera and not the watch, which of course I did not do because I had that little dolly which I couldn't change the camera in height. So I probably need another like accessory in between so I can lift up the camera so I don't have to move the watch. But probably with lifting up the camera, the way the light reflects to the lens also changes. So I have no idea if that would work. But we now go back to Helios and have our first try, which I thought was like a missed try. So we have this here now. This is the second try. We have up here a little bit more of the wristband. Here it's cut. Maybe that works. So we have here almost everything and try to combine those two now. This time it works, which is now a picture that is 12,943 to 19,016. The question now is, can we develop this in a way that pleases us? And here we have not a good merge. So this is something I think that can work, but it needs a little bit more precision. In the end, it was a fun try, and I would say it did not work the way I wanted it to, but still I got some very high definition here. Parts of the watch here you also can see it's not done that well. I probably have to sort out each and every picture I took to have, like, in the preparation of those 9 pictures, I have to have better pictures that are cleaner. So I need to, especially we can see this part is not good, and then here we have reflections on the watch. So if you look at our single pictures, the electronic, I mean, it looks fantastic. And then of course I would like take away the background. I will do that in Photoshop, and then I'm gonna print it. This looks very good. And the other one also, I mean, this is very cool. So I'm gonna work a little bit on Photoshop with those 2 pictures. And if you're interested to see the final results, check out my Instagram. I'm gonna post those 2 pictures the moment I'm gonna post the video on YouTube. So it's on my Instagram. I put a link in the description. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. The one experiment didn't work that well. If you're interested in the Leica Macro Adapter, check out this video next. And in any case, do as I do, stay curious.